What if I told you there's a medicine more powerful than pills, more effective than memory games, and more accessible than any brain training app? It's not a supplement, not a surgery, not a scientific breakthrough. It's the ancient art of conversation. Deep, meaningful, soul-stirring conversation. Welcome back to Silver Crown, where age is not decay, it is distinction. Today, we're exploring one of the most underrated, powerful, and free ways to protect your brain from cognitive decline: talking and deeply listening. Scene 1. The dying language of elders. Imagine this. A brilliant man, age 82, sits alone. Once a teacher, a writer, a lover of poetry. Now he speaks maybe 50 words a day. No one asks him real questions. The TV talks at him. The nurses speak around him. He begins to forget. Not because he's sick, but because no one calls for his voice anymore. And when the voice fades, the mind follows. Section 2. The science of speech and brain power. Here's the truth most people miss. Every time you hold a deep conversation, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. Think about it. When you're truly engaged in conversation, you must listen, comprehend, remember, respond, reason, and empathize all at once. That's like going to the gym and hitting every muscle group in one supercharged workout. According to neuroscientists at the University of Michigan, seniors who engage in daily, meaningful conversations show 30% higher cognitive performance than those who remain socially isolated. Let that sink in. Your words are literally building your brain. Section 3. Why the brain shrinks without interaction. The human brain is a use-it-or-lose-it machine. And when it comes to language, the rules are strict. If you don't speak it, you lose fluency. If you don't express emotion, you forget how to interpret it. If you don't listen deeply, your empathy dulls. If no one asks you meaningful questions, you stop searching for meaningful answers. That's how decline begins, not with disease, but with silence. And here's something terrifying. The average senior has fewer than 2 deep conversations per week. That means entire weeks go by with no one asking, "What's on your mind today? What do you wish you could still do? What's something you regret or something you're proud of?" And when we're not asked, we forget how to tell. Scene 4. The superpower of listening. Let's flip the script. You don't just need to talk. You need to listen, actively, fully, like your life depends on it. Because it does. When you listen with full presence, you activate your prefrontal cortex, your limbic system, and your auditory processing centers. That's why people who practice active listening show higher memory retention, better emotional regulation, slower cognitive decline, and even reduced blood pressure. Listening is brain yoga. It stretches attention. Most seniors are spoken to like children. Not challenged, not engaged, not seen. They get, "Did you take your meds? What did you eat today? Let me know if you need anything." But they rarely get, "What are your thoughts on today's news? What wisdom would you give to a younger version of yourself? How do you want to be remembered?" When the world stops asking questions, we stop forming answers, and the brain, lacking stimulation, begins to deteriorate. Scene 6. How conversation rewires the aging brain. Now, let's get excited. Here's what happens to your brain during a deep 20-minute conversation. Hippocampus activates to retrieve long-term memory and store new information. Amygdala engages to process emotional nuance and tone. Broca's and Wernicke's areas light up to understand and produce language. Dopamine centers reward you with a feel-good rush for connecting. Mirror neurons reflect the other person's feelings, increasing empathy and awareness. In short, conversation is a full brain workout. The more you engage, the more resilient your brain becomes. And here's a gem. Research from Stanford shows that elders who regularly engage in rich dialogue retain sharper vocabulary and more nuanced thinking even past 90 years old. Section 7. Practical ways to reignite conversation. Here are 7 proven, easy, and powerful techniques to make conversation a brain health ritual. 1. The Daily Conversation Challenge. Set a goal to have one 15-minute deep conversation every day. Ask, what made you who you are? What do you dream about now? What do you think happens after death? Even if it feels vulnerable, that's the point. 2. Memory prompt cards. Use flashcards with memory-triggering questions. What was your childhood bedroom like? Tell me about your first heartbreak. Describe the happiest day of your life. These spark neurons like lightning. 3. Conversation walks. Instead of sitting, go for a slow walk with someone. Walking increases oxygen to the brain. Talk as you walk. Let your thoughts unfold with your steps. 4. The story jar. Write 50 story prompts and place them in a jar. Each day, pull one out and share the story. Examples. The moment I felt the most powerful. How I almost made a huge mistake and didn't. 5. Intergenerational dialogues. Talk to young people. Let them ask you questions. Ask them real ones, too. Their curiosity will ignite your clarity. 6. Audio journals. Talk into a voice recorder. Articulating thoughts aloud activates powerful brain chemistry. 7. The golden hour routine. Designate 1 hour per week to sit with someone and have an uninterrupted, flowing conversation. Scene 8. The revival of Gerald. Let's end with a real story. Gerald was 85. His wife passed. He barely spoke. His memory declined. One day, a visiting volunteer, a teenager, asked him, "What's the most rebellious thing you did as a teenager?" He chuckled for the first time in months. He told a story about sneaking into a jazz club and almost getting arrested. One story led to another, then another. Gerald came alive again. His memory improved, his appetite returned, all from one deep question. Conversation isn't casual. It's life-saving, it's brain-building, it's the bridge between who you were and who you still are. You don't need technology to stay sharp. You need someone to talk to and something real to say. If you're an elder, your story still matters. If you're younger, someone's waiting for your question, so ask, speak, listen, connect, and let the mind grow again. This is Silver Crown, where voices are honored and wisdom lives forever.